Hello and welcome to another episode of Fan-Made Cards. Today we're looking at a pack made by mokaygee, which is the same person that made my version of the balanced F-tier cards in Terraforming Mars a reality. A video about that is linked in the description if you want to check it out. And he also made some fan-made cards, and the first half of those I will check out today in this video. And the very first card is Alchemites. I think the idea is obviously based on the pseudoscience of alchemy, which in the Middle Ages I think was about turning any metal into gold. And yeah, that's basically what this microbe card is doing, because it turns microbes into money. Oh, with the use of microbes, it turns minerals into money. So basically, it's a microbe card with a 2 science requirement that immediately starts off with 3 microbes on there. And then you get the chance of adding 1 microbe to any card. I think this should have an asterisk next to it, but that's okay. And then as a second option, you can use up 1 steel or titanium to gain 1 MC for each microbe here. Because this starts with 3 microbes, this immediately is either cash neutral in the case of titanium or cash positive in the case of steel. So theoretically, if you have tons of steel and nothing to do with it, you can use this to use up a little bit of that and turn it into money. But obviously, it would take, like, if you were to buy and play this for 10 MC total, and then just use this lower action all the time without any other way of putting microbes on here, then this would take 10 gens to recoup if you're selling, or 9 gens because you can immediately use it if you're selling steel all the time, and it's just cash neutral in the case of titanium. But obviously, if you don't find enough building tax, then it's basically 3 money each gen, because if you would end up with 10 steel at the end of the game, then this at least gives you 3 money each gen. But then you also over invested into steel. So obviously you want more microbes on this. And if you get more microbes on this with combo potential, then this can be insane. Like if you combo this together with ECF, put 2 microbes on here each gen, basically ECF grants you 2 MC prop per gen in that case, which is crazy. And also if you can fly to Enceladus, that's insane. You can also use this just as a microbe like generation card. Like if you have ants down, you can also play alchemites and then get half a point per gen. That's not that crazy, because something like this other microbe card, Jesus Christ, I don't know what its name is in the base game, that costs 4 and lets you put a microbe on another card. That one costs 4 and alchemites cost 7. But most of the time also alchemites is easier to play, or at least earlier to play, because you can get 2 science tags down gen 1 easily if you have the right cards for it. And that other card really bugs me that I don't know the name. Can only be played at minus 14 degrees. So yeah, alchemites can be insane if you get microbes from other sources. I don't know if the whole combo with alchemites and ECF is worth the investment if you cannot switch to like a point producing card with extreme cold fungus at some point. But honestly, if you play this gen 1 alchemites, if you have a reliable way of getting steel and you play alchemites ECF gen 1, this can create, or this can generate so much money. It can be completely insane. And yeah, if you're playing with colonies, Enceladus can also grant you a lot of microbes. So this can be absolutely busted. On its own, I think it's not that crazy, but maybe. I mean, you could also play this, if you can play this really early on, play this and then like for 2 or 3 gens, just use the upper action, put some microbes on here and then sell steel. Like it could be a great card for mining guild for that purpose. I don't know, I would need to play test this to see if it's good on its own. But what I can say definitely for sure is that it's crazy with the right combo potential. Next card is Silicon-Based Life. So another microbe card. There's a few microbe cards in the set. This costs 14, again has a 2 science requirement. Has a science tag and a microbe tag, so same as regular ethers and GHG producing bacteria. It starts off with 1 microbe, and it gets 1 point for 3 microbes on here. And it says add 2 microbes to this card or remove 2 microbes here to draw 2 cards. So basically, this grants you 1 card draw per gen, but it's split. Like one gen you don't draw anything, the other gen you draw 2 cards. And you can also decide not to draw cards and get some points. I think you almost never just only use the upper action to score points because it's 2/3 of a point per gen instead of a card per gen. I think the card is more valuable. Maybe in the super late game, like especially in the last gen, like if you know I have enough cards to spend all of my money, then sure, you could take points. Also, this 1 microbe on here means that like in the second to last gen, you can still draw cards, and then in the last gen, you put 2 microbes on here. And together with this one down here, you will get a point. So you don't need to put 2 microbes on it two gens in a row. So that's quite nice, makes the card much better, I think. And I think this is balanced okay. I think it's not too strong because it looks scary on first glance with the 2 cards, but it's only every other gen. And if you need another card to combo this with, then it's quite expensive. Like, sure, with ECF, basically you get 2 cards per gen, but then you're paying 14 plus 13 plus 6 for both cards together. And you have a 2 science tech requirement that's basically the same as AI Central, but you also need the right 2 cards for it. So I think this card is balanced okay. It's not too strong. Of course, it's a good card because it gets you card draw, but it can also be countered hard by ants. That could be annoying because you need to leave these microbes on here for gen before you can draw the cards. But I really like it, and it's a strong microbe card, and I think that's something that the game definitely needs. So I like this. Next up, this looks, I haven't checked out the cards beforehand, and this looks insane. Like, not insanely good or insanely bad, I don't know yet, but it just looks insane. There's a lot going on. So it costs 0 MC. It requires 2 microbe cards. That's also something that the game needs, I think. The microbe tag just isn't that useful. It grants 3 microbe tags, which is crazy with stuff like decomposers or viral enhancers. And then it says action, remove 1 disease here. I guess this should be the disease, although for disease, I think there's another resource icon already on what's the corp pharmacy union. So I think this isn't the right icon, but whatever. Remove 1 disease here, then add 3 microbes to any card, or remove 2 microbes from any card to any other card. Move 2 microbes from any card to any other card. Does this also include opponents? I don't think so, because these microbes aren't circled out red. So you can only move microbes from one of your cards to one of your other cards. And then I'm wondering why you should ever do this instead of this up here. Because you need to have a disease resource on here, and I guess you can't get that easily. So how do you get disease resources? When you play microbe tech, including these, add a disease here. If there are no diseases here, place this card in your event pile. Okay, so you will lose this card when you remove the last disease. Okay, and you only get disease resources on here if you play microbe cards. So that makes the lower action sometimes necessary, and this can be used for some effect. Like if you have tardigrades and ants, then you can move microbes from tardigrades to ants, and that will be worth half a point, quarter of a point, right? because they're, instead of being worth half a point. Instead of being worth half a point on tardigrades, they're worth a point on ants. All right, so you basically always use this upper action if it's not your last disease resource on here, and get 3 microbes, which is really strong, especially for 0 MC. If you have decomposers, that means that you can play this, get a point on decomposers because of the 3 microbe tags, and then get 2 more points from 2 disease resources on here to counter out those -2 points. And then theoretically, you can also remove the last one and get another point. So it would be a 2-point card together with decomposers for 0 MC. And then it gets put into the event pile. So that would already be quite good. And decomposers isn't even the strongest one. There's, as I said, ants, there's Venusian insects. You can also combo this to great effect with stuff like decomposers is one of the best though because of the 3 microbe tags. You can also combo this with stuff like sulfating bacteria or with the DR microbes. This could be crazy, and I like the fact that you cannot spam this up here. You need to play more microbe tags to keep this card really, really strong to be able to use this upper effect. But you also can buy time with this lower effect if you have multiple microbes with varying effectiveness. So I really like this card. I think it's kind of cool, but it's also really complicated, and I can't quite judge how strong it is yet. Okay, this is a second version of Super Pathogen, and he did what I mentioned. This is the correct icon. So great work there. Now the card is has the right iconability, iconography. That's what I wanted to say. But otherwise the same. So let's get to Curiosity Space Telescope. 12 MC, it's a space event with a Jovian tag. Do we have a space event with a Jovian tag yet? If there is one, I will put it on screen, but I don't think so. There's this one which requires space events, right? The one that gives you a ton of heat. I will need to check. It grants a point, and then it draws you a space event and a Jovian card. So if you have, and yeah, the Jovian tag up here, because it's an event, only triggers stuff like, what's it called? Saturn systems. I think that should be the only thing that this triggers. And yeah, it's still, in a Jovian strategy, it's still a good card because it draws you a Jovian card, and that's all you care about. Like in Jovian strategy, you will have tons of titanium most of the time, and then you can definitely spend a bit of titanium in the hopes of finding another Jovian multiplier, basically. And then also another possibly great card, because space events tend to be good, which you can use a titanium on. So I think in the right scenario, which is when you're going for a Jovian strategy with a lot of titanium prod, this card is insane. Otherwise, it's not great, because I think the value of it is not great. Compare this to, for example, Research, which on top of a point on drawing 2 cards grants you 2 really useful tags. Of course, this one has other combo potential, like all of the space discounts and the event rebates. So this can get crazy, but Research can also get crazy with Marcio and Optimal, Marcio and Olympus Conference. And even something like Martian Survey just costs 3 less and basically grants you the same in terms of being a card that draws you 2 and gives you a point with other tags again. So if you're not specifically looking for this Jovian tag, I would say this card isn't great. But if you are, then this can definitely be crazy. Like if this draws you TG in a Jovian strategy, then it was worth it to play 10 times. Like this can be insane. Super Polymers, is interesting because it does something that is already in the game. Rigo Plastics is out there, which increases the worth or like the value of steel resources by 1, which is what this does as well. It also has a science tag and a negative point. Is there a science card with a negative point out there? I don't think so. But what is funny is that it also has a steel production. This is crazy. I would say this is probably too strong because it just costs 1 more than mine, which has the same prod. It has, I would say, a better tech than mine. And I think this, your steel resources are worth 1 MC extra, definitely outweighs the negative point on this. This is a crazy production card in the early game, I would say. So I think this is a bit too strong. I think this should have a science requirement or any other requirement so that you can't play it in Gen 1, because I think this is crazy in Gen 1. Or you at least need to do something else to be able to play this in Gen 1. I think this is too strong, but I also think it's quite cool to have something that increases the value of steel, especially if you're playing with all expansions. Poachers, okay, so this is an event card that costs 5. Remove 1 resource from any card and add it to any other card with at least 1 resource of any type. Again, I am wondering if this also includes opponents' resources. Because if not, this is quite bad. Like, the best you could do would be to remove like a tardigrade and then put it on physics complex. Because again, you need at least 1 resource on the card already that you put it to, so you can't put this on Search for Life. And like, this is a very specific scenario in which you remove 1 tardigrade, or like it could even be like an eco zone, which is on an uneven number at the end of the game, to physics complex, and that would beat 2 points then, at nearly fair price, because 2 points should be 10 MC, and this is 8 MC, including the cost of buying it. So I think this should include opponents' resources. But also, if this includes opponents' resources, then you could remove Search for Life resource, which would be insanely frustrating. Like, your opponent is celebrating the day like crazy because he finally hit Search for Life in 1 out of 20 games, and then you play Poachers. So maybe it should say remove 1 resource from any card other than a science resource and add it to any other card with at least 1 resource of any type. Or this is truly meant to be your own resource, and then I think it's too weak, because in the absolute best case scenarios, it's just 2 MC cheaper than it should be, and it relies on having exactly physics complex. So I don't think it is very good in this current in the current version, as I understand it, at least. Mass Charity, 4 MC, maximum of 4 Earth tags. I think this is interesting. I don't think we have a card yet that requires you to have a maximum of Earth tags. And I think I like it because Earth tags are really strong. It has an Earth tag itself, so realistically, no, I think this Earth tag shouldn't count for the max requirement. Really? Maybe? I don't know. I don't think it counts. Earth tag, building tag, 2 points, but you also lose 1 MC prod and 2 plants. Okay, I understand, I see. So basically the 2 points for 4 MC, and you can also pay for it with steel, are really great in the late game. Like, getting 2 points for 4 MC and you can pay for it with steel in the last gen is insanely good. Also, you don't really care that much about losing an MC prod in the last gen, and you might have some plants left over. You know you can only get out 1 more greenery, and then you have, I don't know, 3 or 4 plants left, so you can definitely play Mass Charity. But then the maximum requirement of 4 Earth tags really hurts, and often prevents especially engine players who are looking to play these cheap point cards in the end game from playing this. So I really like the design, and I think you could easily introduce this to the game and it wouldn't be too broken. It's a good card, It's not that influential though. I like the trade-off. I think it's a great idea. Then we have Saturn Gas Mine. So same tags as Beam from a Thorium Asteroid, I like. Is much cheaper though, grants 2 points instead of 1. And it grants just 1 power prod and 1 titanium prod. I think this is fine. I think this is another good Jovian tag that you can play in a Jovian strat. But let's add up the value. So 2 points, that's 10 MC. 7 for the power prod, that's 17. And 10 for the titanium prod, so 27. It costs 25. I think that's fine because it basically has a slight discount for being an expensive card. Maybe you could make it 23 because the tags definitely also have some value. The Jovian tag is valuable. The space tag is really good because it means you can pay for it with titanium. And then it being 3 tags as well. Really nice for Diversifier or Eridor. I don't think it's like too insane. You could make it maybe 1 MC more expensive, but I think it's fine. Like, as I said, it's 10, 20, 27 in value. It costs 25. That's all right. It's a good card. Space Race. This costs 14, has a science tag and space tag. It requires 4 space tags, which I like. I don't think there's a lot of cards out there which require space tags. Are there any? I don't quite know. I don't think so. Spend 1 titanium to draw 2 cards. Discard 1 of them. And you gain 2 titanium back. So realistically, this doesn't cost 17. It costs 11. This is a really good effect. You like the amount you spend on the card is fair. A card should cost roughly 3 MC. Like think of Inventors Guild, Business Network, you pay 3 MC. And there's also some choice in there. But 2 things here are better. First, you get to look at 2 cards. That's better than looking at 1 card and deciding if you want to buy it. Of course, the upside on Business Network and Inventors Guild is you can decide not to buy them and then you don't spend anything. Here you always spend something to get the chance to look at cards, but you look at 2, which is better. So this lets you see more cards faster, and also you are able to spend titanium, and that can be really nice because titanium, again, like all the time, being able to spend minerals with actions is great because you might have too many minerals. You might have invested a lot into titanium prod at the start of the game, especially if you played a few space tags already. Maybe you played Saturn Gas Mine, maybe you played Asteroid Mining, Vesta Shipyard, Phobos Space Haven, and you don't know what to do with all of this titanium, so you just play Space Race and you can spend 1 titanium each turn to look at cards. And especially in a science plus Jovian strat, where you want to find more science tags and you want to find more Jovian tags, this is great. Again, it's another engine card. I think there's a lot of engine cards in this set. And it's another engine card with a science and a space tag. So we've seen quite a few of them in like the expansions, but I still like the idea of spending titanium to draw cards. I think this is great. And I like also the requirement of 4 space tags, which isn't easy to reach. Like a lot of space tags that you want to play are space events, and those obviously don't count for Space Race. So I like this. I think it's a great card. But yeah, more on spending minerals to draw cards. Precision Engineering costs 12, requires 7 building tags. That's insane. Obviously, if you want to go for builder, then you will reach 7 building tags, and not too late. It has the science and the building tag. This is also a combo we've seen quite a few times already, and stuff like Marsu, MATLAB, and so on. You spend 1 steel and discard a card to draw 2 cards. So this is a bit different than Space Race. You actually need to discard a card, which makes it even more similar to Marsu. Also, it grants you 2 steel, so that's also very similar to Space Race. I see where he went with these 2 cards. They are very similar in some aspects, but also a little bit different. So I really like that concept. I think those two are quite cute cards. I really like them. What do I think is better, precision engineering or space race? I think precision engineering is better, especially if you already have some card draw, some other card draw, or at least if you've picked up some bonus cards, then I think precision engineering is better because with space race, both of the cards that you draw could be top tier and you have to discard one of them. With precision engineering, you know you discard a bad card because you use it and you discard your worst card that you have on hand. Obviously, still both cards that you can draw could be worse than the one that you discarded, but then at least you can use it next gen again and discard one of those bad cards. So that's one upside of it. And then the other upside, I think, is the action is cheaper because it's just steel is worth less than a titanium. Also, I think I run into the situation where I have tons of steel laying around and nothing to spend on it more often than titanium, especially when playing with the expansions, because the expansions introduce a lot of great titanium targets, but not a lot of great steel targets. So I think precision engineering is a bit better, but I really like both cards. And then let's get to the last project card. We have one more corp to round off the set, and this is Industry Experts. This costs 11. It requires 2 Earth tags and 2 Science tags. It has an Earth tag and a Science tag itself. When buying cards to hand, steel and titanium may be used. That's a great effect. And then it loses you 1 MC prod, but draws you a card with an Earth tag, and it grants 2 points. So basically it has 3 upsides. 4 if you also count an attack tags. It has great tags. It has a great effect. It draws you an Earth tag, and it has 2 points. And for that, it has a bit of an annoying requirement, but shouldn't be too hard to reach for engine players. And it loses you 1 MC prod. Like, I think this card is a bit too strong. 2 points already are worth 10 MC. The card puts it to like 13. This costs 14. And the effect is really great. Also, if you need like another science tag for quantum or mass or whatever, this can also be really great. I would probably make it like 1 or 2 MC more expensive, maybe 2 MC. But I really like the idea. Again, I like cards that let you use minerals in creative ways, and this is definitely one of them. So yeah, it's a really interesting idea. I think it might be a little bit too strong, but let's get to the last card, which is a corp. It's called Ultralink Intelligence. It has a wild tag, which I immediately like. There are not a lot of corps in the game which have wild tags, like Septum Tribus, for example. And the wild tag is one of the best things about the corp. I like my wild tags. You start with 35 MC, so it's not a rich corp. It has an effect and an action. The effect says buying cards to hand costs 1 MC less. So there's a corp in the game with which buying cards costs only 1 MC. Is it called Terra Labs? I think it's called Terra Labs. And that one has nothing for starting capital because of the really strong effect. This effect is also really strong and not quite as strong, obviously. So you cannot, with Terra Labs, you can buy all cards you want. Like you can buy all cards because you can sell them for the same price you bought them for. So you just every gen you buy all 4 cards, and you can just stall so effectively with that corp. With Ultralink Intelligence, you cannot do that, but you can use your cards for something else, because the action says discard any 1 card to gain 3 MC or discard 3 cards to gain 1 TR. So you can at least, like if you want to use the upper action to stall, you can at least buy 1 more card than usual and then discard it to gain 3 MC. So you basically make a profit. So you always buy more cards than you need with Ultralink. But I think the lower effect is just insane. Like, you buy 3 extra cards for 6 MT total, and you discard them for free to gain 1 TR. That's insane. Also, that makes every card draw crazy. And wouldn't you know, there's a wild tag on here, which makes playing AI Central much easier. So I think this, again, is like an insane engine corp. You should probably look to play this with preludes because the starting capital is quite low. But like, if you're buying like 5 cards in your starting hand, you're immediately saving 5 MC. So it's more like you have 40 MC on hand and then this action down here, and you will save money throughout the game. Or you could even buy 1 extra card in the starting hand and then immediately sell it for 1 extra MC. Like, yeah, I think this is really strong, and it doesn't make you as good for stalling as Terra Labs, but still quite effective. And yeah, quite a strong engine corp, I think. Also makes Business Network and Inventors Guild better. Yeah, I think this corp would be really fun to play as an engine corp. But yeah, that was all of the corps that I wanted to go through today. I really hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, please leave a like and consider subscribing, and also please let me know in the comments what you thought of these cards. And yeah, I hope I see you in the next video. Have a good one, guys, and goodbye.